Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your favorite girl here, Ella. I am a final year law student at the University of Birmingham. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for riding with me through this journey. If you're new here, welcome. Remember to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified whenever I post my videos. And finally, leave me a comment whilst watching during the video or at the end of the video if you have any questions. Also comment on your favorite part of the video today. We are joined today by the esteemed Paul McConnell.
A pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Paul. Paul is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, professors here at the University of Birmingham. I always tell people that my journey here, coming here, and even whilst in the program would not be complete without mentioning Paul. And Paul has graciously agreed, taking time off his busy schedule to grant us this interview today. I know a lot of people who might be watching might be current students or people who are thinking of coming to the University of Birmingham or just general well-wishers or whatnot watching. Thank you so much for engaging with us today. And yeah, thank you so much, Paul, for agreeing to this interview.
It's a pleasure to be here. I have to say, I remember the very first time we met in Toronto on a day when it was lightning and snowstorm, which I'd never seen before. We met just before that started. Yeah. So a couple of years later, it was really nice to be here doing this interview. So thank you for asking me to be involved.
Thank you so much, Paul. I do have a video of the whole meeting and the snowstorm on this channel, funny enough. So I might put that link somewhere in the video for you all to watch if you care to. All right, Paul. Can you give us just a brief history of what your legal journey has been like since you graduated from law school?
Absolutely. So I graduated from law school a long time ago, about 25 years ago to be precise, probably a bit more than that even. Okay. And always had the aim to qualify as a solicitor. And I had a job lined up as a solicitor. But the way it fitted together, I had, I suppose, a spare year. Where before I started my solicitor training, I needed to find something to do. Okay. So, surprisingly, I managed to get a job teaching European law, actually, at a local university. Yeah, EU law of all things. Okay. At a local university, and I did that for a year before moving into my 2-year training process to be a solicitor. Okay. In the UK, and then continued practicing as a solicitor for a further 3 years before deciding that I wanted to go back into teaching, as I'd enjoyed that unexpected year of teaching EU law so much. I decided it was time to return to the classroom. And now this year is actually my 20th anniversary of teaching law. I started in 2004. That's when I exited legal practice and moved into a different law school to teach. So it's very nice to be here to reflect a bit on that journey today.
That's really amazing, 20 years. Well, congratulations. I didn't know that. I should have gotten you a 20-year present. Congratulations on that. And now you said you planned out starting out to become a solicitor. But then you ended up teaching for 1 year and then you decided, okay, I'm going to go back to this. Why did you still go ahead with the solicitor journey, or you've just been lecturing all through the last 20 years?
So the last 20 years has just been teaching. Having worked in legal practice for 5 years, I took the view that I wanted to focus my career on education. Obviously at first I wasn't certain, you have to try things and see how they go. Yeah. But I took the decision to move into education with an open mind, but actually I haven't looked back. I've enjoyed it a lot and it's really suited me well. So I'm very much on this education track now, but one that still links to my previous career as a practicing lawyer. Okay,
that sounds really great. Thank you so much for answering that question. Currently now you are a professor of global education. You get to travel around the world, meet different people like me, who you met in Toronto.
Exactly.
Who you met in Toronto. And this is definitely a very, very demanding role. So what are the good parts of it that you would say you've enjoyed so far? And what are some challenges as well that you think this role has brought on with over the last couple of years?
Well, I think it's a fantastic role, first of all. It's a role that I always feel really privileged to do, even in the days when it's very hard work. I always enjoy it. In terms of explaining the role a little bit more, it really is being the global face of Birmingham Law School. So travelling around the world, meeting prospective students, talking with employers around the world, international universities, and also engaging with our alumni around the world. So what I particularly enjoy about it is, first of all, meeting people. I get to meet so many more people from really interesting backgrounds all around the world, compared to just being here in Birmingham and meeting everyone that I would meet in my day job in Birmingham. So the global networking is fantastic. Also, the opportunities just to visit different countries. I've been so many countries on a work basis that I may not have visited as a tourist. And as a repeat visitor, you actually get to know people and build up a network in those countries. And you see a side to those countries that you would never experience as a leisure visitor.
Very true.
So it's been fantastic for me, that idea of global travel and global networking. It does come with challenges. Luckily, I enjoy travel, but it does mean that I'm away from home, from Birmingham, quite a lot. So I'd say on average, probably about 12 weeks per year, I'm travelling for work purposes. So it does mean there's a lot of time when I'm not here, which means being quite organised in my life generally to fit everything in. And it can get a bit tiring, can be quite hard to fit in different work and manage time zones, moving around the world and trying to have meetings online with colleagues or students back in the UK, and equally conduct my work that I'm meant to be doing in Asia or Canada, for example. But I find ways to manage it, and I think the key thing is that it's really enjoyable. So I always feel motivated to do the work, even though it is challenging sometimes.
Okay, that's great. Can you give us more elaboration on what aims you want to achieve in this role? So not like an interviewing kind of question for a job, but say in the next couple of years, what goals do you have set in mind that your role as a professor of global education will help you achieve?
Okay, so a couple of goals that I have in mind in terms of taking forward the role are, firstly, certain partnerships that we're working on with international universities. I can't say too much about them at the moment, as they're still taking shape, but we've got some very exciting projects with well-known international universities that will bring more students to Birmingham from our international partner universities, and also give Birmingham students the opportunity to experience education internationally. So I'm excited about those partnerships. There's also something very exciting happening at our Dubai campus, which I can't say too much about again yet, but there is a big project we're doing there, which I think will be great when it launches. And then the other thing I'm working on, which I'm excited about, is our global internships. As you know, we've got a lot of internships all around the world with different employers, and there's some new initiatives there and new international employers and organisations that I'm speaking to really enhance the portfolio of what we offer as a law school. So as a 2 to 3 year plan, I have a very clear idea of what I want us to achieve and how that fits to the aspirations of the law school, and providing a really good experience for international students that come here and our own students moving globally.
Okay, yeah, that's really, really interesting, because when I think of the word global, I first of all think about myself as an international student going out into another country, getting that legal education, getting that international experience. But I often forget that there are also local students who might also want to go out and, maybe try as an exchange student or whatnot. So it's good to see that your role not only looks out for international students coming in, but you also care about our local students here in the UK who also want to have that global education as well. That's good to hear.
Absolutely.
And we started off with you being a lecturer, then practicing solicitor, and then a lecturer, and now professor of global education. How do you think your legal education from 25 years ago, is there anything that you can draw on to say, okay, I went through law school 25 years ago, I feel like this is still helping me today in my role?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'd say the thing that was the biggest factor for me was that during my own studies, I spent a year abroad. Only in France, so not very far away, but it was an international experience, and that really set me up for having that interest in global fairs, meeting people from around the world, travelling, and I think that's been the strongest foundation. There's many different things we can take away from education, but for me, that year that I spent in France gave me experience as an international student and showed me the benefits of international education. So that's my biggest carry forward, that personal experience.
Okay, that's good. I see that. And then I think this would then lead me on to the next question, which is, how do you do it all? You already spoke about, time difference, managing, your schedules, but there's one key theme that is very key about Paul, and it's remembering everyone's names and where you met them from. In a year, you probably meet hundreds of people. And how do you keep up with all of this?
It's a good question. No one's ever asked me about remembering people before, so that's a new one. I would say I do manage it, and actually I find it quite easy to do because I enjoy meeting people. I think when you meet someone and you have a positive interaction with them, and there's always something from that conversation you remember, and luckily I have got quite a good memory for names and faces, and that will stick with me, and sometimes even seeing the person a year later when they join us at Birmingham, I'll still remember that context. But I think it comes down to enjoying meeting people and being interested in the conversation. So that isn't a particular challenge I find. There's lots of other challenges. The particular tips I find is I make a lot of use of calendars and diaries. I spend a lot of time planning and working out what I'm doing. I have electronically organised myself, but I have a lot of traditional handwritten lists and to-do lists as well. But it's being quite on top of things, and always before I finish each day, probably the last thing I do, look ahead to the next day and just check that everything is planned and I know exactly what's going to happen from hour to hour on the next day. And equally at the end of the week, I look forward to the next week and make sure I'm clear about what's happening at each day and think about any tasks that may not have been completed but which need to be completed before the week starts.
All right, thank you for that tip. In your global work now, you said what you plan to achieve in the next 2-3 years, whether it be internships for students or people going in as exchange students, partnering with universities and law firms. What role can current students or even people in the BLS alumni network, what role can we play in helping you achieve this aim that you have in this role?
Great question, and I'm really glad you asked, because current students and alumni are a really essential part of what we do. I think the global profile of Birmingham Law School is very much a cycle that we meet a student often in their home country before they join Birmingham, and there might be a year of connection before they come. Then they come and we teach students for 2 to 3 years, and then they exit as alumni, and hopefully we keep in touch and see our graduates once they finish. And the cycle is that a lot of it is word of mouth. Students who've been through Birmingham, we hope, go out with really good experiences and speak to others from family and social networks, or maybe create YouTube videos about their experiences. And it helps to spread the word, and people get to hear about it. So in terms of the particular support that we value from students, for current students, it's fantastic when those that are thinking of studying at Birmingham can have the opportunity to speak to someone who is a current student and actually can answer the sort of questions from the student perspective in a way that I haven't experienced the life of an international student at Birmingham. So it's great to get that support from our current students, and our current students are very giving of their time. Whenever I ask current students, would you mind speaking to a particular student in such and such country who's thinking of coming to Birmingham, students have always been happy to help. And the same with alumni. That can sometimes be just talking about the experience of living in the UK or studying in the UK. But more widely than that, from the careers and employability point of view, the alumni play a key part in working with current students as well. The internships that I mentioned, a lot of those have been generated through alumni that we work with.
Oh, that's great.
And it's great to get that support continuing. Equally, the careers sessions we run, which are internationally focused, a lot of those involve alumni returning often via Zoom to speak to current students. And so a hugely valuable part of what we do is based around current students and alumni and that Birmingham international student and internationally focused body and community that we have. And I love working with those students and having those ongoing connections where it doesn't just finish the day that someone walks out. We keep in contact.
Continuing relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's great, because I have equally benefited from that. Like when we met in Toronto through the Canada Law from Abroad program, which helped me in applying to University of Birmingham. I also met alumni students out there in Toronto, and I was able to ask them about what their experiences were like, coming from Canada, what the differences were in terms of where to live, just it's beyond just going to class every day, but the other day-to-day aspects of what it means to be an international student. And I also benefited from that alumni network, I would say, and I hope that somebody watching this video gets more insight onto what you're saying, and seeing that there's an actual human beneficiary from it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And this will lead us nicely into my next question, which is, someone might be watching this video and they see Paul and they're like, oh my God, 25 years plus of law, from here to here to here to here. I want to be like him. What advice would you have for that person?
Okay, I think a couple of pieces of advice. Firstly, not to worry. I think particularly at the point of graduating, it can feel like a long road to the kind of career that you're looking for. And for very few people is the career path smooth or direct, but it has a way of working itself out. So I think just keeping going and focusing on strengths and interests. So if you start to focus your career plans about what you're actually passionate about, what you enjoy doing, you'll find that you won't go wrong, because that enjoyment will mean that you perform well, that others can see your engagements, that gets recognised, and usually the work will suit your skills as well. So I would say, don't worry, just go with instinct and interest, and things find a way of working themselves out. I would never have imagined as a university student or as a lawyer, or even when I first started out in education, that my career would have gone the way that it has. It wasn't really a planned process, it just happened organically. But I think following that approach of going with opportunities and seeing where my interest best fitted has served me very well.
That's great. Yeah, my takeaway from what you're saying, to even to someone like me who has maybe plans to becoming a family lawyer one day, is focus on what I'm doing right now. I'm learning not to be too rigid. Just because I might be great at other things, and then if I blind spot myself and say no, I'm solely focused on this road, then there's some opportunities that I may miss. And that's really great advice. Thank you for sharing it with us.
It will work itself out. You'll know what's right. Sometimes something feels not so right, and you then make a decision to change it.
And also there might be some careers that might be available in the future that we do not know about now. So for example, I don't know if this role was available 25 years ago.
No. No. So, it's very much a recent creation.
So that can also be something to look out for. All right. Finally, you are a huge part of the success of Birmingham Law School. I dare to say that one would not mention University of Birmingham and our law school here without thinking of Paul in it. And for any student who has not come in contact with Paul, I encourage you to book an office hour and get to know him. It's really important for you. What are some things about the University of Birmingham? You touched upon this already in your previous answers, but something about Birmingham that people do not know about. What is it about the university that a prospective law student might be watching this, and maybe they have to make a decision between this university and this university? What is it about BLS that stands out from all other universities, essentially?
Okay. I would say for me, Birmingham really stands out. I've worked at 5 different universities. Birmingham's been the last 6 years, but it's been an entirely different experience working at Birmingham to any other university. And I would say the first thing is quality. Russell Group, top 100. The experience of being here, the quality of students, the quality of colleagues, the resources, the reputation, the reception we get around the world as a leading university is entirely different from any other university that I've worked at. Also, I think that the global focus, which is what I'm really interested in, it is a truly international university. We have students here from all over the world. We have staff from all around the world.
Yes.
It's known. You go to any country and people know University of Birmingham in a way that doesn't really happen with most other universities. So that reputation, that international impact is huge. The other thing I love is just being on campus. I think you can look at photos of the campus, you can see videos, but
it's different when you're here.
Being here is actually better than what you see on your phone when you look online.
Yeah.
Just as a place to work, to come into work, to walk across campus from a meeting or a class to another, it's a fantastic place to be. The physical environment, but also the people we meet day to day. I feel so lucky to work with the types of students that we have at Birmingham and many of the colleagues that we have as well. It's really been a brilliant experience for me working here, and I think it helps in my role that I'm genuinely a strong advocate for the university. I believe in what we do, and it's been for me a great experience to work here as well.
Okay, that's great. I want to add on to what you said now from a student perspective of why University of Birmingham is also great. In addition to the atmosphere of the university, it also kind of changes with the season. So for example, right now is the Christmas season. We're filming this, and everywhere is festive outside. You know, we get Santa on campus. There's like a Ferris wheel or whatnot on campus for people to go and, you know, de-stress. You know, in week 11 of school, there's Kepler here for the law students, which is, you know, helps with the employability and skills aspect for students. So you're not just coming here just to get legal knowledge. There's a way for you to put that in practice, whether it be through pro bono, through negotiation, through client interviewing, and also, like you said, meeting a diverse faculty. Because, funny story, when I was coming to University of Birmingham, I went on YouTube to learn about the Brummie accent, because I expected that all my professors would be from Birmingham, and that wasn't the case. So there are people who I would say would look like you, would kind of share an understanding of what the student might want, and there's also a Canadian faculty here as well. Yes. That's also of great help to our Canadian student body as well. So just from a student perspective on why I chose Birmingham. And beyond the university as well, the city of Birmingham is also great. It's very, very diverse for people, which is also another reason why am I saying why I chose the university? But this is in a nutshell why I think that the university is great for anyone who wants to start out their legal journey on here. And my semi-final question will be, what advice do you have for current students like myself, or for people who are looking to start out their legal journey from now on?
So a few pieces of advice that I'd give. One is to be persistent, because it will take a while to get to where you want to be in most cases, and there will be things that don't go quite to plan. But being persistent and keeping in mind that idea that you only need one opportunity, that's the right opportunity to work out. So persistence is key, and keeping positive as well. I think also communicating with people. You're very good at this, and getting out there, talking to people, making yourself known, being on LinkedIn, being on social media, and being open to that, I think in itself generates a lot of opportunities. More will come out of being open and visible to employers, and things will work their way through.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for that advice. I just thought of one last thing of why you might want to consider the University of Birmingham as an international student, is that it gives there's scholarship opportunities for students as well. This is very, very rare for international students, and it's something that you can also, you know, take advantage of if you're planning on that. But yeah, thank you so much for the advice, Paul.
A pleasure.
And for agreeing to do this interview with us today. Do you have any questions for me?
Do you know, that's really nice. I get a chance to ask you a question as well.
I ask all the questions.
And I do have a question.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
So we've spoken a bit about University of Birmingham.
Yes.
What would you say is the thing that surprised you most about coming to study in the UK and at Birmingham? What has been the biggest thing you didn't expect?
Do you want about the UK in general,
Anything
Birmingham in general, or the university?
It could be several things.
Several? Because I do have a lot.
Go on, start the list.
Okay, I think the most shocking thing for me coming in first year was it was kind of hard for me to adjust into the legal side of education. I just wasn't getting it. And I remember I booked an office hour with you. I booked with Sam, a couple of other professors, because I had finished my undergraduate degree I spent 4 years working full time, and then I decided that law school is still my dream, but I want to do it internationally. And so I expected that, without, I wouldn't say easy education has always been, or learning, but I usually get into the swing of things pretty quickly. But it was difficult because I would go, from maybe contract law to criminal law to tort law. And I used to have handwritten notes at that time, but nothing was making sense because I wasn't understanding, and that was difficult for me. But I remember the advice I got from yourself and every other lecturer or professor that I met during an office hour was essentially I have to be kind to myself. It's going to be a gradual process. For something like tort law, you might not understand the module in the first 12 weeks. It might be at the end when you're looking at the overview that everything then makes sense. So it's trying to keep up with the readings. You might not understand everything. Focus on the areas where your strengths are, and then where you see your weaknesses, kind of strengthen that. But at the end of the day, it all comes together. So I was shocked at myself of not being able to kind of, in the words of what people will say in corporations, hit the ground running, understand this. But I think after my first year and seeing how everything went through, selecting the modules that I like now this semester, I've been able to carve out a way that I enjoy the legal aspect of school. So whether it be, now taking notes with my laptop, knowing what to focus on when reading cases, knowing what articles to use, knowing what, essentially how to go through this legal journey in a way that would be enjoyable to me. And at the same time, reminding myself that, as you said, everything all comes together eventually and life would be better. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's something that shocked me the most, and that's how I've been able to navigate up until this time.
Yeah. I think it's a very relatable answer. Just to share my own story about that. I remember the very first law lecture I ever attended, which was 30 years ago, in fact, was a contract law lecture.
Oh my God!
Which was actually lectured by a member of staff who now teaches here at Birmingham.
Oh,
yes, Professor Nelson Inonchong was my contract law lecturer.
Oh my
and I remember sitting in the lecture, and there was a lot of case law, and I was completely new to law, and I remember sitting there not actually realising that we needed to know the case law. It was just, and I remember not really making many notes, just listening to the discussions of case law. And obviously, as you found over time, you realise what you're meant to be doing, and it falls into place. And I think it's a natural process for most students. The kind of students that do law tend to be high achieving, ambitious students, but all of us go through that period at the start of our studies where we just don't really know what's going on, and it takes a bit of time. And I think asking for help and getting guidance from others is definitely a good way forward. And that's where these videos are great.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't have anything like this 30 years ago.
No.
So many thanks to you for going to the efforts to make these recordings.
Thank you so much. And yeah, that do you have any? I'm ready to answer questions.
Well,
Do you have any?
No, I do actually have further questions. It's not nice to ask. So 10 years time, where do you see yourself?
10 years? Oh, that's a long time. 10 years. Well, I hope that in 10 years time, I would be a practicing lawyer. The goal is to be in Canada, in the province of Ontario. But with my University of Birmingham degree, I'm really open to anywhere else in terms of working and practicing law. I just want to start with Canada first, because that's home. I hope to be a family law lawyer. I hope to have helped a lot of more people wherever I am going to be based at that time. And I hope that my legal YouTube, or rather our legal YouTube community here has grown, kind of seeing what this young girl was like, coming from University of Birmingham, not knowing anything, and through her years of law school and of law and legal knowledge. So I don't know if I would want to have my own firm. I haven't decided on that yet, but I just hope to be a good practicing lawyer who's making use of those skills that I've learned and helping the less fortunate people that, need a lot of access to that, and I'm hoping that all the skills that I've gotten from law school, I end up utilizing it, whether it be through my time as a lawyer or just, a human being, essentially. So 10 years, I might hopefully come and look at this video to see what my answer was and see if that's what I'm doing.
and I'm really confident you'll achieve all your goals.
Thank you. And keep in contact too.
No,
with
absolutely.
University House.
You'll be doing University of Birmingham webinars still. Life as a family lawyer in Ontario. That I can imagine the session now.
Helping people who might be in high school now but will be in university at that time.
Absolutely. It's a long journey, but there's no escape.
No escape.
Once you're on my list of alumni, you will be contacted regularly and asked to help out in various ways.
I'll be there to help. And even with the, when I graduate or whatnot, if you're in Toronto doing all that rounds, and I'll obviously be there.
We will be,
okay.
And I will be in touch.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that works. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for today's interview, for answering all our questions, taking us through your history, a lot of things that I wouldn't have known without this interview. For example, that you were an international student. Who would have thought about that? Thank you so much. And if you have watched up until this point, thank you so much for watching. Leave us a comment. If you have any questions, let us know what your favorite part of the video is. If you're yet to subscribe, what are you waiting for? Kindly subscribe. Let's get this channel increasing. And turn on your notification bell so you get notified whenever I post my videos. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.